of us died tonight. Somebody knows why.
Hello, and welcome to this Question Entertainment Extra, The Watchman Revisited. We already reviewed the movie The Watchman, but we have got more negative comments about this review than any others. Some of them were simply suggesting we needed to read the book before we could truly appreciate the movie, and others were really introspective, especially the ones by Alex and Sue. That made me want to respond, so with the advent of the DVD release, I thought I'd put up a video responding to that. I do think we focused more on the onslaught of violence, sex, and silly ideas, though I believe I saw most of the points and messages. I thought they were either silly, wrong, or not worth the porn and blood to get there. 1. I do see the "do the ends justify the means" being a strong theme here. I found it ironic that the ending was very similar to The Dark Knight. The differences here was that the bad guys were taking on the Christ symbolism while lying to the world for the world's own good. Of course, the good guys, Night Owl and Rorschach, opposed this, and Rorschach ultimately brought it down because he, like Ozymandias, had set his plan in motion before the final confrontation, i.e. dropped off his journal that chronicled most of the plot. I do think it was looking at that issue. I do think we should be more like Rorschach, though the end seemed a bit nihilistic and more to the point of, hey, we're all doomed anyway. 2. Yes, he gave us backstory and a way into the plot, but then the journal becomes a plot point. That was a nice touch, though with that, the movie's narrative structure suffers. The film ends up being, meet the characters, have a series of events that leads to each character explaining his backstory, final confrontation. To this end, I think it was trying to be the superhero Citizen Kane, which I think could have worked if they were more focused on just Rorschach as the reporter and the comedian as Kane. 3. Yes, Dr. Manhattan did question the existence of God. He did also question the value of humanity. The conversations about her birth and all was his self-revelation. There is a spark of the divine in humanity. This is a real glimpse of God even from a biblical standpoint, and I do like that it was in there. Still, they did not connect it as well as they should have, and it was just the distant God who had some sort of plan when he started, so birth can still work out and produce something amazing. Ironically, it was not that all life is a miracle. It was that Laurie Jupiter was a miracle even though she came from scum. All we know of Laurie Jupiter is that she was hot, she was lethal, and he started a relationship with her for those reasons. And when she felt distance, she started sleeping with Dan Dryberg. She may be more developed in the book, but she was not the shining example of humanity here. Extra? I do think Rorschach was the moral compass of the film, and the closest to right, where Night Owl was just more the everyman, and the Silk Spectres were both just the feminist Freudian image-bearer, not real characters but objects to give the male characters a reason to act. Maybe the comic was better. I have not read it, and I will not bother. The naked parts or the distant God were enough for me to not bother with this film. Still, with that aside, it was not a well-structured film. Movies like The Matrix and Primer are complex and may lose people because of that. However, Watchmen will lose people because its poor design makes it just clunky rather than the complex and clever it may have been going for.
It was a horrible, horrible...
On YouTube, please click subscribe. On our blog, please click the RSS feed.
Well, things I would rather do than ever watch this movie again, or have ever watched it to begin with. Clean my toilet with my toothbrush, gouge my eyes out, or just about any unpleasant activity ever.
God help us all.